Helldivers 2 is a whole load of fun, however if I could turn back time, then I'd remove some basic errors from my early time in the game. Well, today I want to go through 11 beginner mistakes so you can avoid them and also help protect Super Earth much more efficiently. Well, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more Helldivers 2 content, plus also hit that notifications bell to never miss a Helldivers 2 update. Without further delay, let's dive into the beginner mistakes to avoid. So first of all, not cooling down support weapons early. You know, missions can get hectic very quickly, so it's a good idea to cool down your support weapons when you drop into a match. So when you're first starting out, you might explore and then cool in your support weapons when enemies start to attack. While you certainly can cool down support weapons when the going gets tough, it's much easier to cool down your support weapons early in the game, especially when it's very calm at the start of your mission. Next up, we got not adjusting weapons, so you can try out different weapon combinations in Helldivers 2, plus also different stratagems. Both of these can be selected when you're on your ship by accessing terminals. Weapons also have individual settings which can be fine-tuned. For example, the grenade launcher has a different setting to allow for auto or semi-automatic fire, and weapons also have plenty of hidden settings that could make the difference for you in a mission. So you got the first person mode on some weapons where you can aim down sights, so if you're more used to that style of shooting in other games, then you can bring that into Helldivers 2 as well. Next up, we got not using the map and the radar. So the map and the radar are invaluable tools in Helldivers 2 to make sure you get the most out of your missions. Objectives are marked on the map as orange icons, and other players in your squad, they're shown on the map as different coloured circles, plus you can see their cone of vision. Check out the map frequently to make sure you and your squad are going in the right direction. The radar is also very useful, as you'll see question marks appear indicating areas of interest, and you will want to investigate these. So these often lead to loot like super credits, medals, samples, plus you can also mark an objective on your map and use the radar to make sure you're headed in the right direction. Next up, we got not shooting everything that moves. So combat in Helldivers 2 is fun, but you don't need to shoot everything all the time. There's plenty of enemies on your way to objectives, plus also when you reach your objectives, sometimes you find groups of enemies on the way, and they don't always see you, and you don't need to alert them in battle by shooting them. You can simply just sneak past them. This is particularly useful in harder difficulties when you get overrun by enemies and killed easily. Next up, we got not understanding samples are shared. So samples are shared throughout the whole team, and I've heard some stories of players shooting other players to get their samples, which is just dumb because all samples are shared between the squad at the end of matches. If someone drops samples because they've died, then by all means pick them up, but don't go out of your way to shoot your team for samples. It's just going to ruin that Helldivers game, and to be honest, that is not cool. Next up, we got not using grenades and stims. So grenades and stims are useful, and you can carry up to 4 of each. Grenades can clear bug nests, or you can kill groups of enemies quickly, and stims are used to heal yourself or a teammate if they are in trouble. Use a stim when you're bleeding or when you're under fire to regain some health. Both grenade and stim should be used throughout the match rather than hoarded, given the resupply stratagem can be used to replenish your stocks of both. Next up, we got not using your stratagems frequently, so there's no need to wait to use your stratagems. Your job as a Helldiver is to eliminate the enemy, and stratagems can help, so use them frequently. Stratagems like the Gatling Sentry have a cooldown timer, and the Eagle Airstrike has a couple of uses, but you can use the Eagle Rearm stratagem to get that back into action. So these are high-powered and effective tools, and it is your duty to use them. Next up, we got not being aware of friendly fire, so you can die due to fire from teammates, so don't run in the way of their bullets. Sentries will fire at enemies regardless of what's in front of them, so crouch to get out of the way, and rovers also fire a beam of energy at enemies, and this can be deadly if you get in the way, so be aware of what tools your team are using, and keep your firepower focused on the enemy and not each other. Next up, having an unbalanced loadout. So when you dive into a match, you can take in 4 stratagems and 1 booster into a mission. You want to make sure you've got a good balanced loadout to improve your chances of success. You don't want to have it too offensive, you don't want to have it too support or defensive. You want to have a good mix of both. Ideally, you should have 1 or 2 offensive stratagems, 1 support, 1 defensive. Area of effect stratagems like the Eagle Airstrike are useful for taking out large groups of enemies. Plus also defensive stratagems like the sentry are useful for defending, so pick up a good range of stratagems when you're going into a match, and that is going to help you in the long run. Well, next up we got not exploring, so you've only got a certain amount of time to complete your objective in Helldivers 2, but that doesn't mean you can't explore. By going off on the main path, you're going to find points of interest which could lead to super credits, samples and medals. By exploring, you can also increase your mission rewards by completing secondary objectives. That can lead to more XP and more medals, so make sure to explore and maximise your rewards whenever you go out on a mission. Well, finally then, we've got reloading too much. So Helldivers 2 is different than other shooters. By reloading too early, you're going to throw away the ammo left in the clip, and it will simply be a waste of ammo. Make sure you empty your mag when shooting before you reload, otherwise you're going to waste that valuable ammo, and that is going to put your team in a bad situation. Well, let me know down in the comments your beginner mistakes to avoid in Helldivers 2. And that is it for this guide for the beginner mistakes to avoid in Helldivers 2. And as always, thank you so much for watching or for listening. Don't forget you can hit that subscribe button down below for even more Helldivers 2 content. You can also like and share the video too. Thanks again. I'll see you soon.